This is a video about Project Warlock, and this is also a stupid bit. Project Warlock is an indie retro FPS developed by Buckshot Software. I got this game through an accidental Humble Bundle resubscription and decided to play it because really I needed a break from Call of Duty and Tarkov. Since Doom 2016 was a pretty average game to me, I didn't have high expectations for Project Warlock. Most retro games I've seen have really relied on nostalgia to sell them, and I've never played the classics like Wolfenstein 3D and Doom. Seeing as I have absolutely no relation to this style of game, I figured I'd chip in my 2 cents with this review. Now, because I've looked at analytics, if you want a retro shooter, this game is fantastic. I have been loving my time with it. It recreates the games of old and adds some great additions to the formula. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, then watch the video and see if this game is for you. Much like the games it's recreating, this game barely has a story. You don't even know your motivations until you beat the first boss, and the subsequent story slides you see describe how your character is evolving. Otherwise, it's kinda like this. Story? What the fuck is a story? Is it like an STD? Is it STD? No? It's like a deep sea squid? That sounds weird. Well, what the fuck is a story? Something I noticed by watching earlier gameplay videos of Project Warlock is that Buckshot Software took their critiques seriously and fixed the main complaint about the game, which is that it was too dark and didn't have a hard difficulty, it was previously just normal or very hard, and also the cost of spells were too high. They've added a few small additions like a secret counter in the pause menu and more ammunition in certain areas. It shows that the devs didn't just publish the game and run like so many AAA studios and indie studios on Steam do. I can guarantee you, without the lighting fix, I wouldn't have played this game all the way through. It's a simple shooter. You're going through small but dense maps fighting dozens of enemies that differ in design, attack pattern and health. You'll be finding keys or pressing buttons to progress, and after 4 levels you fight a boss. There's secret areas you can find around the map that give you points to upgrade your weapons, and sometimes find weapons earlier than usual. Your mana and health doesn't regen, so like the ammo, you're reliant on pickups. It's the retro FPS with all its T's crossed and I's dotted. Just a quick tip with the perks, do not get Ghost perk if you're going for a melee run, as it really fucks with the hitbox for some reason. When it comes to fighting, you can just use a couple of your favourite guns since there is enough ammo to do so, but I found myself switching guns, not from necessity, but because each gun is fun to use as you commit genocide against the demon hordes. Each gun is better in certain areas, which does encourage some variety in the way you play. You'll also be pairing this with the game's 8 spells. The baseline for any good FPS are its weapons, and how I get to shoot uglies in the goddamn face. Project Warlock has 12 weapons, all of which have 2 upgrades, which can change their purpose drastically. They have all the classic weapons of the PS1 and PS2 era shooters, you know, revolvers, shotguns, machine guns, rocket launchers, laser guns, flamethrowers, and because this game is a Doom throwback, its version of the big fucking gun. Every weapon has a distinct role and purpose. They're not just here for nostalgic reasons. They're really satisfying to use as you slaughter the monster hordes, they fit the art style perfectly, and I absolutely love the sound design. Hearing all the empty shells hit the floor after using the minigun and you've just slaughtered a dozen enemies was my favourite part of just using the fucking gun. One thing that really impressed me is that with the correct upgrades, spells and skill leveling, you can beat the entire game with just melee weapons and magic. This is not an easy feat to do, and explains why initially I thought some spells were overpowered, but really it was necessary for those specialising in a melee run through. However, the bosses still require you to fight using guns though. There's 8 spells in total, ranging from balls of deadly lightning to generating ammo for your guns, but no healing magic. Once you know the hotkey, you can change between the spells rather quickly, but you really do need to choose between Spellcaster or Leadslinger, as both upgrades use the same points and they are a limited resource. You earn experience by killing enemies and finding treasure. Once you level up, you get a point you can spend on Strength, which increases melee damage, Spirit for more mana, Life for more health, and Capacity so you can hold more rounds. Every 5 levels you unlock a perk, which helps you specialise your playstyle even further. Time to address my favourite mechanic, the upgrade system. It allows you to shape standard guns to your playstyle. The weapon behaviour changes and the entire design of your weapon changes when you upgrade, making it feel like you've unlocked a whole new gun. For example, the revolver can either get incendiary rounds to light enemies on fire, or double its damage by becoming a 50 caliber. As there aren't enough points to upgrade each gun, it does add to the replay value. I do have one problem with the upgrades, which is you can't undo upgrades once you buy them. I bought a sentry gun upgrade for my minigun and went from using it every level to almost never, as there were very few spots I could use it effectively. I only really used 3 spells during my 2 playthroughs. They were the Bomberman spell, which uses mana and grenade ammo to throw grenades if you right click, which is convenient in early levels. A ball of lightning you cast, which does ridiculous amounts of damage but costs I think 35 mana and doesn't move. The spell I used the most was the Frost spell, however, that stopped or slowed down enemies while giving you a massive damage buff. This spell is incredibly useful if you're doing a melee run, but it's also great against bosses as it doubles your damage. The other spells were a melee attack, a shield, summoning ammo, a light spell, and something I don't remember. They were useful but not worth the sacrifice when you could upgrade guns. In Project Warlock there's 4 worlds to go through, with their own distinct enemies to fight. The low tier enemies are usually just new sprites, however other enemies are unique to their areas. In the snow area you have terrifying yetis, Cthulhian horrors that spit acid at you. In the city you fight literally 20-foot tall fucking Terminators and alien tanks. There's lots of cool designs that you'll be fighting against to keep the game interesting during each stage. The tougher enemies will have 2 or 3 sprites to show you how hurt they are, which is a great touch I didn't expect to see. Enemies will generally have projectiles that move slow enough you can dodge them, or they'll miss as long as you keep moving. However, the human-sized robots and Terminators both use miniguns that can only be avoided by the Sprinter perk. But there is a significant delay on them firing once they see you. Beating them is a matter of using cover or manipulating their line of sight. With the standard robot, they're really weak and can be dealt with before they shoot, however Terminators do require some strategy. The bosses looked great, I loved their designs, but their attack patterns aren't predictable and the best strategy was basically keep running in the direction it was weakest against and shoot it. Shoot it a lot. They were the most boring part of the game, but considering they're such a small portion of the game, it's more of a nitpick than a complaint. Level design is pretty good. Although there's rarely any traditional cover, there's always enough supplies to heal you, and if you play smart you can use corners and doorways as cover. You have the ability to rush the exit, but exploring the level is going to gain you a lot more experience, which you're going to need to upgrade your character. Each world looks distinct with new textures and design approaches, keeping the game fresh throughout. My only complaint with the levels is the one-use elevators, which stop you from having a second chance to find secrets, and I also hate using teleporters found in secret rooms. In Project Warlock you're basically playing Russian roulette with them. Sometimes you'll be sent to another part of the room, sometimes you'll be sent to a root loom only accessible via teleportation, and other times sent to the end of the level, where your only option is to finish the level or restart the entire thing. It's just nitpick, but I'd really like to see that not be a problem next time. So, here's a couple of fun little details I really appreciate. The casings from you shooting not only bounce off walls, but also will be scattered along the floor. You can slaughter multiple rooms of enemies, and you can walk through the carnage and see your fired rounds. I do assume that they'll despawn after a certain amount of bullets are expended, but it's super satisfying to see. I also love if you kill a weak enemy with a double barrel, their blood splatters across the walls. If you use fire damage weapons against the ice block enemies, they will disappear when you kill them, and all other enemies become a pile of ash. My favourite detail though, is if you kill the ice block enemies normally, and their lower half is still there, you can push their lower half around like a fucking ice puck. It's fucking hilarious. Okay, the core of the game is a simple retro shooter, but it's been done really well, with an amount of detail and variety I wouldn't expect from an indie studio, let alone a studio of like 5 guys. The weapons are satisfying, they have great combos, making your path of carnage fun as hell. The enemies are challenging and the worlds are interesting, and unlike Doom 2016, I never got bored or frustrated, because the maps weren't a clusterfuck in this. Project Warlock has about 6 to 8 hours to complete if you're not trying to speedrun it, and for $12 USD, this is definitely worth it, especially during the pandemic. I can easily get 20 to 30 hours entertainment from this game, and considering a movie ticket is $8, it's definitely good value. If you're a Twitch streamer, especially someone who does speedruns, this is a great title for you to pick up and just play through it all. But if you're unsure of playing this game, there is a demo that you can get for it, so you can try it before you buy it. Project Warlock's fun. It's damn shoot everything in the face and move on fun, but it's fun and I loved it. Honestly, I hope we see another sprite shooter from these guys if they add some more stuff to the formula. But other than that, this has been Fair Dinkum Dave. Have a good one.